Hello and good afternoon, teacups. Welcome back to Spill the Tea Loo. Welcome back to Teacup Castle and welcome back to another transfer show. Now, you may have noticed from the title, you may have noticed from the thumbnail, I'm a little bit I'm not coping, guys. I was trying to think of a nice way to say it. I'm not coping. All of my patience are in the bin. All of my goodwill is gone. See some of the stories I'm reading between Manchester United and Newcastle. I genuinely think they're actually having a competition of who can have the worst buying window possible. Like, we both got off to such a good start. They signed you and Yowen. We signed Ederson. We were off at the races. They were on to the next with Munoz. We were on to the next with Mateus Fernandes. And then all of a sudden, boom. Munoz goes elsewhere. Mateus Fernandes is still not even close to a bid. And some of the stories. So that's what we're going to be talking about, more or less. We'll talk about all the things in between, but that's what we're going to be talking about today. Are they setting out to test my patience? Because honestly, guys, it's a test I will fail. The fact that I've got this far staying patient, all of a week? Not even. But I've run out. All the patience are gone. Now, first of all, I want to talk a little bit about the World Cup. Some injuries. Obviously, Manuel Ugarte is one of those. Reece James is another one of those. A little bit of an update on that. Then we will get stuck into the actual individual transfers as we go, how they're unfolding or not unfolding. And yeah, you'll agree or you'll disagree, but we'll see how we go. Before I do all of that, though, let me say hello to the teacups. The best segment of every show. Shem is here. He's first. He's claimed it. And he said, good morning, teacups everywhere. Hope all are well today. Be careful, Shem. You're not allowed to say good morning, even when it's morning time. Good morning is banned. Hello to Lucky as well. Lovely Lucky has been flat to the mat in the chat. I will tell you, if our transfer teams were as busy as Lucky, we would have all the players. All the players would be done already. So shout out to Lucky, because genuinely the dedication is unparalleled by Lucky. Rob is also in the chat as well. So that's our first, second, third for this afternoon show. We've got Shem, Lucky and Rob. Then we have lovely Tom is with us, who says, good morning, legends. Huge congratulations to Cape Verde. What an amazing story. That's what football is all about. I love it. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. This stuff like this is why I like that I know, I get it. There's things people don't like, but stories like this is exactly why I like the expanded tournament. It matters. It matters so much to people. Let me see. Lucky was on fire in the chat earlier. On fire in the best way. Tom, to be fair, Tom did shout this out. Sorry, guys. With all the changeable weather, my lips are quite dry. But Tom says, I don't like blowing my own trumpet, but he's about to. But saying Uruguay won't win a game despite the group they had might have been my best hot take of all time. I mean, it was a pretty good one. It was a pretty good one, Tom. Paige is here as well. Hello to Paige. Hi. Who else? There's our lovely Mama Flossie. Mama Flossie, I love that picture. What was that your profiler on before? Was that your WhatsApp before? I can't remember. I love that one. That's my favourite one of your profile pictures. But hello to Mama Flossie. You says good morning, but there's Mama Flossie's profile picture. I love it. It's my favourite one. I'm glad that one's made a comeback. And everybody's saying hi. There is all boxed up. Hello. Who else have we got? There's a load of ye in there. Let me see. There's Harold. Hello to Harold, who says, finally, I have some company. Guys, shout out to Harold. Harold has already done 300 kilometers this morning. He had 1,200. He's down to 900. Harold has already done 300 kilometers this morning. So shout out to Harold, because he works incredibly hard. Very, very, very hard. Shout out, guess who's here and says, hit the like, everyone. Africa King has joined us. Hello. And hello. Big love to you as well, Smithy. Welcome back to us. Let me see. Have we got everybody? And Jaron is here and giving a shout out to Harold. Right. I've done well. I've flew through the teacups. There's loads of you. Every time I look, and Gia, I nearly missed Gia. I apologise. There's Gia as well. But yes, guys, we're getting more and more teacups by the minute, more and more teacups by the day. And what that means is it's going to get to a point where I can't say hello to all the teacups. That's took 5 minutes and I flew through them. So yes, shout out to all the beautiful teacups. Thank you very much for being back with me at Teacup Castle. But let us get stuck in. So we're going to start very slightly with the World Cup and then move into the Premier League transfers, okay? So obviously, we know about Manuel Ugarte. We will talk about that in a little second. But just a little an update from Rob Dorset of Sky. He says, Reece James's World Cup could be over if England don't progress to the latter stages of the tournament. A hamstring injury worse than thought. So the hamstring is worse than they thought after he beckoned to come off late in the game with Ghana, but he couldn't because all 5 subs had been used. I'm told he doesn't want to leave camp. He wants to stay with the squad and fight to be fit in the hope he can still play some minutes towards the end of the knockout stages. First of all. Second of all, so he knew there was a problem with his hamstring, and because all of the subs have been used up, he was left out there. I appreciate England didn't want to go to 10 men. But really and truly, you've left a player out there who's experiencing problems with his hamstring. It is now a worse hamstring injury than first thought. And what do you, a lot of you guys are England fans. We do have some Chelsea fans. What do you guys think of that? I would be furious. I think it's negligent. That's my opinion. Based on the information we have, obviously we're never going to have all of the information because we're not behind the scenes, right? But based on this amount of information from Rob Dorset, to me that sounds negligent. If you're aware he's having a problem with his hamstring, I don't care how many subs you've used up. You have got to take him off the pitch, even if it means you're down to 10. It was against Ghana and it was late in the game. He should have just been taken off the pitch. His safety should have been more important. That's my opinion. Now, maybe some of you feel differently. I don't obviously have any skin in that. I don't have any emotional attachment to that. But to me, that's a terrible decision. That's a really, really, really bad decision. What are the medical staff doing? The medical staff, the medical staff should overrule both player and manager. In that scenario, the medical staff should have the final say. That's my opinion on it. And they need to be strong enough. The medical team need to be strong enough to say, he is injured, it's his hamstring, you're going to leave it worse, he has to come off. End of story. That would be my thoughts on it. But as I said, let me know what you think, because it sounds like something, and I'm not being funny, I'm not even trying to be funny, it sounds like something Spurs would do. It sounds like something Spurs would do. Why would that, does anybody think that's a good idea? Because I can't see it. Let me see. All boxed up says, no good, incompetence and negligence, the player should have been taken off. That was basically exactly my thinking. I couldn't believe it when I read this morning. So I know we'd mentioned Reece James's injury, but I thought this part of it was important to mention because I actually just couldn't believe it when I read it. So you knew there was a problem with his hamstring and you left him on. What are you doing? Africa King says, true, it's very risky. And Shem had the same thought as me. It must be the Spurs medical staff. Maybe England were advertising on LinkedIn too. Maybe that's where Spurs got the idea. Maybe they were just copying England. But that was my first thought. And I wasn't even trying to have a dig at Spurs. But based on your season and your injuries this season, that was my thought. And Jaron says Chelsea won't be pleased with England. I mean, that was my thought, because yes, he's out there playing for his national team and that's what he should be concentrating on. But at the end of the day, Chelsea pay the wages. And you've just injured one of Chelsea's like main assets and potentially made it worse by making a bad decision. Like, if I'm Chelsea, I'm like, what you doing? I'm on the phone. I'm on the emails. I'm getting the fax machine out of the attic. I'm like, lads, what were we all doing in this decision? Let me see. Smithy says, we don't have a medical team at Tottenham. I'm convinced they're vets. A vet would do a better job. Tom says, do you think the player has to take some responsibility at some point and ask to be subbed? I get it's the World Cup, but that just makes it all the more reason if you ask me. My answer to that is no. No, I don't. I think the medical team, who's in charge of that scenario, should overrule both the player and the manager. I don't think either the player is going to make an emotional sort of feeling. But also, to be fair, we have seen players indicate to the bench, I want to be subbed off, I need to come off, there's something wrong, and be left on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? It's sometimes even when the player does take responsibility, and also the player gets slayed. Imagine we see him doing this. Do you know what happens? He gets absolutely slayed. Look what happened when Gary Neville said that Bruno wanted to be subbed off. He didn't. It wasn't even true. Bruno got absolutely hounded for something that never happened. But let's say it was true. So the problem is, the player's going to be emotionally invested. They're not going to want to come off. So they're not going to be thinking rationally. Second is, even if they ask to come off, they're not always taken off. Sometimes they're left on anyway. And third of all, if they ask to be subbed off, they're probably going to be hounded. And I'll be honest, guys, the English fans in general are not particularly forgiving. You do have a bit of a reputation for getting in on your players that you don't feel are doing the things you want them to do. So really, it should just be taken out of their hands because they're not thinking straight for any number of reasons. So I think it should come down to the medical staff. The medical staff are medically trained. They're the most informed on the situation. They are the people with like the expertise to make that decision. So I think they should overrule both the player and the manager is my thing. I do understand your question, but the answer is the short answer is no. After the long answer. Let me see. All Vox stuff. The question is hamstring. Is he signing for Spurs as it seems like a criteria? I don't know. Sometimes it's ACL, which it appears like what Manuel Ugarte has done. Guys, give me a second. I didn't turn the fan on before this stream because it's a little bit cooler here in Ireland today, but I've had to close the window and now it's roasting. So just give me a wee second. Oh yeah, I thought I'd be all right. It's cooler here today. It's like overcast. It's not a dead heat. It's like, it's nice. So I thought, oh, I'll be fine. Nope. As soon as the computer does get really hot. Well, yeah, not your medical staff, Shem, competent medical staff. The kind of medical staff that know what to do in that kind of a situation. Although, to be fair, that's what I mean. The England staff didn't. The England staff let him play on. They let the manager decide, no, it was better to leave him on the pitch because they didn't have anyone to replace him, or they couldn't make a sub as such. So honestly, I think it's a bad decision. I think it's a bad decision made for the wrong reasons by everybody that was involved in it. Shaquille Oatmeal is with us this morning. Hello. And Mohammed is in the house as well. Hello, Mohammed. And yes, Flossie, that's the thing. Most players will say they can play on even when they can't. But like that, because we spoke about it, I did just want to bring that part in because I didn't know that when we were speaking about it initially. So I wanted to make sure all of the information that I have is with you guys as well. But you're very welcome, Shem. You're very welcome. But that obviously isn't the main injury that people are talking about this morning. The main injury people are talking about this morning is Manuel Ugarte. So during the World Cup, Ugarte suffered a serious knee injury in the first half of Uruguay's game against Spain. He had to be stretchered off the pitch, and the injury doesn't look good at all. That is the quote. And this is from Fabrizio, by the way. United staff are waiting for more details and fear it could be a significant issue that impacts the player's future. Ugarte was one of the players United were considering making available for sale this summer. This injury now complicates that situation and could affect United's midfield planning, as they may need to sign another midfielder. Now, first of all, the human being, he's had a really difficult time. Since he's come to United, it's just not worked out. He's been under multiple managers. None of them have really seemed to rate him, including Amram, who he played under before. It's just really, really not worked out at United. Since Carrick's come in, has he played like any minutes at all? Like the Fletcher boys have been put in ahead of him. It's not gone well. It's just not gone well. It's not worked out. For both him and United, the best thing was to part ways and for him to move on this summer. There had been interest from Italy, and, that everybody presumed by the end of the season he was going to be gone. To then go to the World Cup, that was his escape. So he's had such a tough time at United. To then be called up for his national team to the World Cup is such a big deal. It's such a moment of like personal pride. And when you're having a difficult time, something like that gives you a boost, like mentally and physically, but primarily mentally. When you're having a tough time like that, and then you get the opportunity to go and play at the World Cup for your country, that would have lifted him. That would have been like kind of what got him through maybe some difficult months recently. To then have this injury is so hard. It's so hard to know that, look, you had a tough time, but you were going to the World Cup, and when you come back from the World Cup, you were going to move on, a fresh start with another team, and potentially then like revive your career, or at the very least be in a better environment for yourself where maybe things would work out better. So for the player, I'm really sad, because it's mentally, it's going to be so tough. Injuries are tough. To have to stay at a club where it wasn't working out, where both you and they wanted to part ways, and now you're forced to stay because of an injury at the World Cup, which was the thing that was giving you a bit of hope. It's just really, really horrible. All the circumstances are really horrible. And as much as we wanted to sell him as United fans, the vast majority, I'm sure he wanted to go. I would say he wanted to go as much as we wanted him to go, because he seemed quite keen to move on. Do you know the way you hear from Xerxes, he loves it, he wants to stay? We never heard that about Manuel Ugarte. He seemed pretty happy to move on. He wanted to be out of the environment. He recognised it wasn't working. So I feel sorry for him, because I would say he is more disappointed than any of the rest of us. First of all, that he's injured. Second of all, that he now won't get the move that he wanted. Do you know what I mean? So we have to remember the person as well as the player. And I want to do that bit first, because it's important. It's really important. He's a human being, and I'm sure he wanted to go as much as we wanted him to go. So we do have to remember that. And Mohammed, I have noticed this. All these injuries, all of a sudden, everybody was fine, and then it was like boom, 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 injury. There does seem to be a lot of them cropping up now. Paige is saying, as much as I might not rate a player, I'll never wish injuries on someone. At the end of the day, it's their job, and that's it. It is just they're a human being, and it's their job. Let me see. Neil is with us. Hello to Neil. And Jaron is saying, rumors are it's around 8 to 10 months out. Hopefully we will get clarification soon. Thing is, it could be longer than that. If it's his ACL, it could be longer than that. And it looked like a rough one. All right, Twisted. What you doing around these parts? It is a long time. But now that we've recognized the human being in it, let's just talk about what it means in terms of transfers. Because obviously we understand this isn't a priority, but it is a knock-on effect. So we do have to talk about it. A lot of people were worried that this would mean we wouldn't get another midfielder. But it actually seems to be the opposite. So the idea was 2 midfielders and a third if we sell Manuel Ugarte. So the obvious thought process was, well, if we don't sell him because he's injured, then we don't get a third midfielder. But then it seems to have come out, and it seems to be that Fabrizio was implying this. Actually, the fact that he's going to be injured and unavailable to play is more of a reason to get a third midfielder, not a reason to stay away from a third midfielder. So it actually seems to have the opposite effect than what most people expected. What it does mean is we're probably going to have to do more with less. So we were counting on the transfer fee of Manuel Ugarte to go towards another player that we would get. If we need that other player anyway, but we don't have the money from him because he's injured, we're going to have to do more with less. But I agree with Lucky, who's saying we need to sell Joshua Zirkzee. This thing, I don't know how he's floating under the radar at all. Joshua Zirkzee needs to go. He gets on with everyone. He's like the club cheerleader. He seems to be a lovely human being. He's friends with everybody. Everybody likes him. He wants to stay, right? What the hell does that do for us? We're a football club and he's not very good at football. He needs to go. He needs to go. And honestly, I think if Ugarte was going to be sold, I think Zirkzee might have flown under the radar. I actually think this puts Zirkzee to the fore. He has got to be sold. He absolutely has to be sold. He's not a first team player. He's not a substitute player. He's not very good. He doesn't work at Man United. Cheerleader is not an official position in the squad. He needs to be moved on. And I think we need to now move him on with much more urgency because we know that Ugarte isn't going to be available to be sold. So really good point from Lucky. He does need to go. Harold would like Sander Berg to replace him regardless of the injury. And Shem is saying, if you hold on, maybe have I come in on a second comment? No. So Shem has said, but then understand if your employers work you too much. Last season, not much time off because of the World Club Cup. This off-season, an elongated World Cup. They get hardly any time off for the body to recover. That is dangerous. It is. And I would say that would have had an impact on Reece James's injury. Tom says, Zirkzee is technically a good player, but he just won't score you a goal. Then we don't need him. We bought him as a striker. If he can't score a goal, he can't be here. Like, that's the way it is. He was bought to score goals. He can't score goals. He can't be here. He has to go. So he needs to go. Like, even I thought he needed to go anyway. He really needs to go now. But for anyone who was thinking that meant that United wouldn't go for the third midfielder because we can't sell Ugarte and that seemed to be the condition, the fact that he's not available to play seems actually to have pushed it more urgent again. Can a player's contract be terminated in any way without incurring compensation payments? No. Not unless they've done something to bring the club into disrepute, not unless they've done something quite extreme. No. And even then it would be really rare. It'd be really hard to do. But no. Because the point of the contract isn't just to protect the club, it's to protect the player. Like, imagine you're working full-time somewhere, you have a contract, you're working, and then something happens, like you're injured or something happens that in the course of your work, by the way, because Ugarte was working when this happened. So he's been injured in the course of his work at his workplace. They can't just be like, do you know what? See now that you've hurt yourself while on the job, off you pop. No. So the contract is to protect the club, but also to protect the player. And if you could just terminate it as soon as they got injured, then wouldn't be very good. Wouldn't be very good protection for the player. So no, you would have to compensate him. You would have to compensate him. But after that, so this whole thing, Ugarte got injured. That means we're more likely to sign a third midfielder, apparently. I don't understand it, but okay. And then 2 hours ago, Matty Moretto, and I'll be honest, he's irritating me. he said Matteo Moretto at the minute, he was doing all right at the start of the summer, and now he's just starting to annoy me because a lot of the stuff he's coming out with, it seems to be nonsense. Maybe this isn't, but it seems to be nonsense. So he came out 2 hours ago. Manchester United are back in the chase for Mateus Fernandes. First of all, I wasn't aware we had left the chase, but we're back in it, guys, in case anyone was wondering. In the last few hours, there have been new contacts with the player. The Red Devils are willing to improve their contractual offer to convince him to sign. Manchester United also plans to hold direct talks with West Ham. Tottenham remains in the race and has pressed hard in recent days, but now United are trying to get ahead. Now, there's so much. For such a small tweet, there's so much. First of all, I don't think we ever left the race, so I don't know what back in the chase means. I don't think we were ever out of it, but fairs. In the last few hours, there have been new contacts. Yeah. So our midfielder got injured while on international duty. A few hours later, we got in touch with the other main midfielder we've been hoping to buy. I mean, it's not that shocking, is it? It's not really that shocking. But United are willing to improve their contractual offer to convince him to sign. I don't want to get him because we've offered more money. I want to get him because he wants to come to us. I don't want to have to bribe him essentially to come to us by just throwing loads of money at him, because if that's his attitude, he'll do it to us again in a few years. Not a fan of that. We've had this thing throughout the window. We're not going to overpay. We are going to overpay because everyone's overpaying, but overpay. We'll have a structure in place and we want players that want us. He's been clearly leaning somewhat towards Spurs. If we're having to just pay him more, and so he's basically no preference, none at all, just whoever gives the most money. I'm not a fan of that, and I'm not a fan of giving the most money just because. If the player really wants us and West Ham are like, no, we're only taking the most money, and we up it there, I can kind of understand it because he really wants us, but he can't control West Ham or Jorge Mendes because who can? So I would understand that. But when he's just going, whoever has the most money, that's where I'll go. I'm not a fan of that. I don't like it. Really don't like it. I get it. Okay, we already needed midfielders. Now it's like super duper extra urgent, right? I get it. I don't like that. I don't like that. We're willing to improve our contractual offer to convince him. I'm not a fan of that. I don't like it. But the thing is, there's been a response. There's been a response to Matty Moretto. The response is from Paul O'Keefe, who is a journalist and a Newcastle fan. And he has said, so somebody has replied to Matty Moretto, tagged Paul O'Keefe and said, what's going on? And so Paul O'Keefe has said, what's going on is negotiations. The players camp hold all the power, which is Jorge Mendes, essentially. And that's before you even try to negotiate with the club. Spurs can't dictate the timings, and it doesn't help that our fans are wound up by fake news of agreements, etc. Nothing is advanced currently. So Paul O'Keefe is saying that the news of agreements between Spurs and Fernandes are fake news. I don't know. It's up to you if you choose to believe Paul O'Keefe or Matty Moretto. It is entirely your prerogative, and it is just a case of who you believe more. But I did find that interesting. I'll put that in. So that's the tweet. If anybody wants to see it, that is the tweet. But yeah, Paul O'Keefe, fake news of agreements. Our fans are being wound up by fake news of agreements. Oh, so maybe he's a United fan. I thought he was a Newcastle fan. Hold on till I see. I'm sure he's a Newcastle fan. Or not Newcastle, Spurs. Why do I keep saying Newcastle? Newcastle are not involved in this one. They're going to be involved in the next one. But Spurs, no, he is a Spurs fan. I knew that. I knew he was a Spurs fan. And then I doubted myself. But yes, Spurs, not Newcastle. Sorry, Flossie. Giving Flossie a heart attack and it nothing to do with them. So he is saying the news of agreements between Matheus Fernandes and Spurs are fake news. And he's a Newcastle fan. Or he's a Spurs fan. Bloody hell. I swear to God, Spurs. Tottenham Hotspur. Not Newcastle. Tottenham Hotspur. What is wrong with me? Oh, guys, it's going to be one of them. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? How many times did I say Newcastle before I realised I wasn't saying Spurs? Okay, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to read some comments while I get myself together, because not only, I can't read. It literally says, Spurs can't dictate the timings. It doesn't help that our fans are wound up. It says Spurs in the tweet. I don't know why I keep saying Newcastle. The tweet itself says Spurs. Right, lads, right. I'm going to read some comments because I can't cope with myself right now. So, right. First of all, hello, Moonshine. Welcome to the chat. I've been on the Kool-Aid this morning. Hello to Huge as well. Welcome to Huge. Harold is saying, this is one of the reasons I don't follow transfer news, which is fairs. Fairs. Not everybody likes it. Not everybody likes it. Let me see. Smithy says, I think he will come to you, Lou. Man United is a bigger name than Tottenham. By all accounts, it's down to the money. By all accounts, it's down to the money. I don't like that. I don't like that. Even if he ends up at us, I'll have a little dot beside him now, because for me, it's about the money. Jaron, apparently his wife wants to stay in London, but he wants United, so there's a bit of friction. And I mean, that's the thing. We have to remember they are human beings. They're human beings with families. And I mean, it makes a difference. It does make a difference. So I have seen that story before. I don't know how much of it is, but I have seen that story before. Have seen it. Let me see. Okay, no, I've said hi to everybody. I thought I missed somebody else, but I didn't. Right. Huge is saying we are probably going to have to give up one transfer we wanted because of Ugarte getting injured. Maybe no left back or backup striker or centre back. We are going to need to ride our luck on injuries next season. The one we absolutely cannot give up is left back. We don't have another left back. We have Luke Shaw, right? Dorgu is not a left back. He's a left winger. Dalot and Mazraoui, they are right backs. And Dallow's not particularly good at that. We don't need to be playing people out of position. Because if you put Dorgu at left back, you've only got Cunha on the left wing. And all I hear is people telling me Cunha is not a left winger. So there is going to be a position. I would suggest that position should be left wing, because I don't think we need one of them at the minute. We've got two, kind of, right? We don't have a left back. If Luke Shaw gets injured, we don't have a left back. There's no left back. There is, what part of that? It actually baffles me that people aren't panicking about left back. And I don't mean you, Huge. I mean, I see it across the board. People are so worried about midfielders, and we should be. Why are people not worried about left back? I don't understand the lack of concern about left back. The only left back we have at the club is Luke Shaw. There is no other left back. Dorgu is not a left back. Dalot, not a left back. Mazraoui, not a left back. We don't have any other left back. Luke Shaw will get injured. And then we have no left back for the season. It's entirely foreseeable. And you know what will happen? He will get injured and our fan base will lose their minds and be like, how did nobody see this coming? Everybody can see it coming. What do you mean nobody can see it coming? It's right there. It's signposted. There's like a neon sign above Luke Shaw. You need a backup for me. So the one we absolutely cannot put off at all by any means is left back. We need a left back. Midfielders, left back. There cannot be any. They have to be got. Backup striker I would like, but I do believe Cunha can play there. We've seen Mbeumo play there, not particularly well, but he can. We have options. Mason Mount can do a false nine. It is possible. It is possible to fill in there without kind of losing in other positions. Because if you've Dorgu left wing and Cunha false nine, but you've also got Sesko, do you know what I mean? You can move that around a little bit. You've got Mount. So I don't think we particularly need a left winger. We do need a backup striker, but I mean, if it came to it, I would cope. I would like a centre back, but again, that's behind striker. So for me, midfielders and left back are equally important. Neither of them can be not done. My next one would be backup striker, backup keeper. I think left wing can wait, if I'm honest. But genuinely, we need a left back. I can't. I'll have a conniption. If we have to go into next season without a left back, I'm going to have a conniption because it's stupid. It's so stupid. And we're not looking at anyone. The only person we've been linked to is Lewis Hall, and apparently that's not even true. So even the thoughts of it, right? I can't. I can't. Poor Huge put in a very logical, normal comment. It's tripped me completely. Yes, I'm also worried the club don't seem to think we need one. What is wrong with them? But no, we came out. We came out and briefed the press. Who did I do the story with yesterday? I forget. But it was somebody it's a good journalist, said that United have been like, we don't know what this talk is. We're not interested in Lewis Hall at all. I also think the club are thinking Dorgu and Dallo, which is stupid. Absolutely stupid. Tom says Cucurella would have been perfect. A lot of people didn't want him. I know you like him, Tom. I was kind of didn't really mind one way or the other, but a lot of people were against that, like really against that. And let me see. No, I don't. I really, absolutely, definitely don't. Really and truly, I don't. Right, let me see. Huge's comment was split. So Huge doesn't think that, by the way. He's just saying he thinks that's what the club thinks. Don't want to leave out the most important part of his comment. But, right. So basically, no change. United and Spurs are both still in for Matheus Fernandes. He will still go where the most money is. Apparently, we're going to up our offer to him. But we're still not going to offer anything to West Ham. So I don't know what we think is going to happen there. But anyway, fair play to us. And then the next one. This is a very small amount of good news, but lads, we need it. We need it, right? A bit of good news for the United fans. Trabzonspor and Manchester United have reached an agreement for Andre Onana's loan transfer. Onana's lawyer is reviewing the contract sent to the player side for the official signature. So, number of things. I'm not celebrating until after I see an official signature because Onana is liable to do anything. So, cautiously happy about this, but I want to see that official signature, lads. Otherwise, nothing else matters. Also, I would have preferred to sell him. I'm not overly pleased about the fact that it's a loan. I would have preferred to sell him. However, his wages are massive. And he's brutal. And he would have thought that he could work his way back in had he come to United, and he would have unsettled things. His wages are big. They're going to be covered in their entirety. While I would like to sell him, I will settle for the fact that we're not having to pay his wages, which will have gone up because we're in the Champions League. So I'm waiting for the official signature, but I'm cautiously happy about this. Not my first choice, but I'll take it. Exactly. Not my first choice, but I'll take it. Once the wages are covered, because his wages are big. Absolutely, Tom. Absolutely, we do not need that around Lomans. Lomans is on fire. He's on fire. We don't have we don't need that messing around. Twisted, you're only back. Don't start with the rage baiting. Like, you're literally only back after being away for ages. Don't start rage baiting because the mods will just remove you. Like, if you want to have an opinion, that's fine. But coming in being like, Carrick doesn't have the ability to improve young talent, like, don't come in rage baiting. You will just be removed. Let's be fair. Like, you and I both know you're a bit of a rage baiter. Not the place. You know better. You know I don't put up with this nonsense, right? If it's an opinion, frame it as an opinion. It's not a fact. Don't come in rage baiting. The mods will remove you, right? Straightforward. I'm not having this messing around. No nonsense, Twisted. We're not having the rage baiting. Not on here. And you should know that. You're around me long enough. You should know better. Don't start the nonsense. I was making happy news. Talking about Onana, not coming back to United, and there's Twisted in with the rage bit. So, welcome to Mavis. Hello, hello. And yes, if you're missing some comments, people, if you're missing some comments, make sure your little tab at the top doesn't say top chat. Make sure it says all. Because if not, you're going to miss some comments and it's randomly decided by YouTube. So just make sure you're set to all. Now, moving on from Man United, because I can't take any more of it. Ben Jacobs reported about Sandro Tonali. Sandro Tonali has already given his green light to join Tottenham. Broad terms in place with the Italian as club-to-club talks continue, and that is a story between Ben Jacobs and Alex Crook, okay? Then, right, so that was 9:30 on the 25th. Sandro Tonali has given his green light to join Tottenham. Then, by 7:45 last night on the 26th, so 24 hours, Man City have been in regular dialogue with Newcastle over Sandro Tonali, tracking him for more than a year and asking to be kept informed of developments regarding his sale. The player is aware of interest and although intrigued by Tottenham, knows he will have a big decision if a bid is made from the Etihad Stadium. Having finalised the deal for Elliot Anderson, Man City could step up interest in Tonali, and sources at Newcastle expect that to happen, already lining up potential replacements. This is from Luke Edwards in The Telegraph, who we know is quite informed on Newcastle. Doesn't get everything right all the time, but nobody does. So, I know some people don't like to toot their own horn. I do. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Guys, how long have I been saying, I feel like he goes to City. I feel like he's waiting for City. It seems like City, they're dealing with Anderson and then they're going to go to Tonali. I have said it and said it and said it and said it, right? I say things and I get them wrong. Sometimes the vibes are wrong. But on this one, the vibes are absolutely on point. Throughout this whole time, in the background, City have been in touch with Newcastle. Tonali has been aware that City have been in touch with Newcastle. While he's intrigued by Tottenham, he wants to know if City are going to bid for him first. And now they've finished the deal with Elliot Anderson, they could step up their interest in Tonali, and that is what is expected to happen. Now, it might not. It might not. That's always a possibility. But I would say on this one, 10 out of 10 guesswork by me. 10 out of 10. I was feeling the vibes on this one all over the gaff. I'm fully tooting my own horn. It's very exciting to get things right. It's so easy to get them wrong. When they go right, you have to be happy about it. You have to enjoy it when they go right. But I do find it interesting. Ben Jacobs was like, yeah, green light to Tottenham. 24 hours later, Luke Edwards was like, it's looking more like City. It's feeling more like City. I did find that quite interesting. And again, comes down to which journalists you trust a little bit more. Let me see. Oh, Shem, I like this. I also think that's why Spurs haven't given City money for Savinho, because we don't want to help them pay for Tonali. Excellent shout by Shem. excellent shout by Shem. I like that. I hadn't even thought of that. I like it. I like that. The vibes be vibing. It makes sense. Because there was a lot of noise around using Savinho. There was a lot of talk and it was progressing and there was a lot of it. And then it just like, nothing. Spurs were getting the same vibes as me. He's going to City and we're not helping pay for him. I like it. Yes, everybody. Great shout from Shem. I like that a lot. Good thinking. Very good thinking. Let me see. Yes, huge. We don't, if it's not set to all, your comments don't come through. I don't know why. YouTube picks on you quite a bit, to be fair. Let me see. Sorry, guys. There's so many comments. Yeah, no cobwebs on Shen, says Rob. Definitely not. Yes. I would have had him back, but he signed a new contract. I would have absolutely, in a heartbeat, I would pay more for James Garner than I would for Fernandes. I would pay more for James Garner than I would pay for a lot of them. I really like James Garner. He's very good defensively. I really, 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 really like him. I would pay for him. I would overpay for him because I like him. I think he's really good. But somebody burst my bubble. It might have been actually JT. He signed a new contract to Everton. He was my number one shout for who I wanted in the midfield. But signed a new contract. Range on my parade. Either did I. I'm sure it was JT told me. I was raging. I was very upset. Surreal McCoys is with us. Hello. Who says, I think Spurs purposely drag their heels so that they get hijacked and don't have to pay the money and then say we tried. It's who Enoch are. Another conspiracy theory. I think Shem would probably agree with that one, to be fair. I can't speak for Shem, but I feel like he might. Africa King says, Steve Railston has just said United will sign a left back or a left winger, not both. Why are we signing a left winger? Why are we? Flossie and Mavis are having a good old chat there about players being moved on and who will, who won't. And Flossie is saying the silence from the club is deafening. They need to say something. I don't know. Is that about Bruno G or is that about Tonali? Sorry. I know you guys have been chatting, but I have missed some of it. Is it about Tonali or Bruno G? Feels like Bruno G, but tell me in case I'm wrong. But yeah, so with Tonali, it depends which journalist you trust. I would probably go with Luke Edwards on Newcastle. And to be fair, it confirms what I already think. So I'm probably a little bit biased there as well. But just to be fair, Ben Jacobs is saying that he's given Spurs the green light. So there is the other side of that coin for everybody. Both. Fairs. That is fair. Yeah, there's a lot of people looking at Buwadi. Arsenal were linked to him first, as far as I remember. It was Arsenal were in for him, and then everybody else. Yeah, you're right. Not so hot take. I agree with this. I think Newcastle are in big trouble. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with your not so hot take, Trusted. I do. And James is saying the Newcastle project is starting to look bleak. It is. I just don't know what they're doing. I really, really think they've missed a trick keeping Eddie Howe. And I think what it has done is it has damaged the belief of the players. I think it's damaged the belief of the players by keeping him. James, have you not already put that comment in previously? Please try not to repeat the same comments because it clogs up the chat for other people. Mavis, there is no project. What project? There is no project. It's gone. Now, sticking with Newcastle, which is why I kept saying Newcastle when I was talking about Spurs, but we are moving on to Arsenal. Craig Hope has said, Arsenal are set to make a second approach to Newcastle for Bruno G. A proposal is being readied, but Newcastle's stance is he's not for sale. I mean, I'll be interested if they actually make another approach. So the first one was a verbal offer through intermediaries. It wasn't a formal, official, written bid directly to the club, okay? So they were sounding out, basically. What part of he's absolutely not for sale are you nuts made Arsenal go, I know what we'll do. Let's try again. I don't know, but I'll be very curious to see, first of all, will a second bid actually come? Craig Hope tends to be all right, to be fair to him, but on Newcastle rather than on Arsenal. So I don't know. Second of all, if a bid comes in, I will absolutely be very curious to see how much it's going to be, because they would need to double their initial offer, I think, for Newcastle to even twitch. And I still don't think it'll be enough. I mean, Bruno G is worth more than Elliot Anderson, and Elliot Anderson was 130. I just don't see him going anywhere. I really don't. But Craig Hope, as I said, tends to be okay with stuff. He's all right, and he has said they're set to making the second approach. I'm watching this with bated breath because I just want to know how much Arsenal are going to put in. If the first one was 55, what's the second one going to be? It feels really silly from Arsenal, and it's not like them. Arsenal are normally very put together. And I just don't understand. I don't understand what's possessed them to do this. But I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Not a chance, James. Not a chance. You're off your rocker if you think they sell Bruno G for 70 to 85 million, you're off your rocker. Not a chance. Absolutely not a chance. Not for a minute. I don't even think they would look at that. I think they would just immediately, straight out of hand, they want 100 million for Tonali, and you think they'll sell Bruno G for 70 to 85? Not even close. Not even close. No way. Flossie says no too. And yeah, they're Tonali's going. It looks like Tonali's going, whether it be Spurs, whether it be City, whether it be somewhere else. Tonali's going. They're not going to sell. And don't forget, they've already sold Gordon. They've sold Gordon. Tonali's going. They're absolutely not selling Bruno G. They're just not I don't know what Arsenal are doing. I don't know what Arsenal are doing. It's not happening. If this happens, I will be genuinely gobsmacked. And I mean gobsmacked. I can't see it. I can't see it. If you were to make a list of all the players that Newcastle would sell, Bruno G would be the very bottom. He might not even be on the list. I can't see it at all. And yeah, as Mavis says, Newcastle is in a real mess. They are in a real mess. But even the mess that they're in, I can't conceive of them selling Bruno G. Definitely not for anything Arsenal's offering either. Yeah, and that's fair, Mavis. Completely fair. It need have been like this, and you can't keep blaming PSR. We had plenty to spend last year. Yeah, yous are just making bad decisions. Yous are just making bad decisions. Shem says, the new Newcastle owners are killing the club now after coming in all guns blazing. Wonder what's going on with them. They're pulling back on all their sporting investments. My theory was that they were pulling back because they were going to pull back from the others to invest more into the football. That was sort of the story. Like, they're coming out with the golf and all the other ones, and they're going to, instead of being spread across multiple sports, they're going to prioritize focusing on Newcastle. I'm yet to see evidence of that. Or they are concentrating and they've given themselves a headache. But I mean, it's just not happening. It's not going well. But I mean, if they sell Bruno G, maybe they are leaving, because I can't see any other. I really can't see anything else. Exactly. It would be like us selling our Bruno. I actually think it's worse than that. Do you know what, Rob? I think it's worse than that. I think it's more. I think it would be like us selling. Now, don't think in terms of ability. I'm thinking about like love and dedication. I think it would be like us. I don't even think we have a comparable person. I'm trying to think of one and I can't. Like, Bruno loves Newcastle. He loves them. Newcastle love Bruno. Maybe it is close to our Bruno and I just don't feel that affinity that some people do. But I can't. I actually just can't. I can't wrap my head around it. Flossie. We are constantly told we're a small club that don't matter, but clubs are always knocking on our door for our players. Yes, they are. Isaac, Gordon, Tonali, Bruno G, Lewis Hall. I mean, is there anybody? There's nobody knocking on the door for Wessa. I would take Voltemata. I really like Voltemata. I would take him. So yeah, not on here, but I know some places where you're called a small club. Funny enough. Let me see. You could do what Liverpool do. Just let them run down their contracts. No biggie. No biggie. Does anybody actually like how their club is run at all? Maybe Arsenal. Does anybody other than Arsenal like how their club is run? Because this is disastrous. Oh dear. Oh dear. No, they're definitely not. What Flossie's referring to is there's a number of prominent YouTube channels that regularly refer to them as a small club that don't matter. That's what Flossie's referring to. Not here, obviously. But, oh yeah, fair. Maybe City, to be fair. Their fans are probably pretty happy. That's, to be fair. They probably are. I know the rest of us aren't, but some of them. Do I believe loyalty still exists in football? I think it's rare, but yes. I don't think there's much of it. I think rare cases would be my answer. Rare cases, yes. Let me see. Right. Let's go. With more stories, guys. We do have more stories. I want to do just a little roundup, okay? So this one's from Ben Jacobs. It's kind of what we're talking about, but it's going to bring us into the next bit. So, Arsenal prepared to make a formal bid to Newcastle for Bruno Guimaraes after seeing a verbal offer via intermediaries of around £55 million turned down. Newcastle insist they don't wish to sell, but direct club-to-club contact is now anticipated. Right, we know that. As reported yesterday, Alex Scott, Ayu Buadi and Sandro Tonali are other names on the radar. Mateus Fernandes has also been looked at, but Spurs and Manchester United are more advanced as it stands. Overlap with other Premier League clubs for each target. Manchester City want another midfielder post Elliot Anderson. Spurs also want to sign 2 midfielders. Manchester United will add at least 1 more midfielder. And Chelsea and Liverpool could explore a central midfield reinforcement. So just to give a roundup of everybody, everybody wants midfielders. That's the roundup. Everybody wants midfielders and Arsenal are nuts is basically where we're at. That's the roundup from Ben Jacobs, right? But it does bring us into Let me see. Just one more roundup as well. I've one more roundup. This one is from yesterday afternoon. And then we're going to look at something that I think is going to infuriate Flossie and Mavis a little bit, but we're going to look at it. We are going to look at it. We are doing dreadful at buying at Man United. Was the point of the United segment. We are doing very bad at signing players, okay? Newcastle, I do believe, might be slightly outdoing us, but I'll get to that in a little second. This is also from Ben Jacobs with Alex Crook. Arsenal have had contact with Bruno G's camp, a similar exploratory approach as Man United made before the window opened. No contact with Newcastle as of yet. We know this, okay. Arsenal, also one of the clubs considering Alex Scott, along with Man United and Spurs. The latter, Spurs, could advance if they fail to land Matheus Fernandes or Sandro Tonali. Aya Bouadi, also in Arsenal's list. I knew he was linked with Arsenal. As they assess several midfield options, Arsenal made contact with Sandro Tonali in January, but nothing since. Andrea Berta, content to explore different options before deciding on any bids. Now, that is why I wanted to bring this up. So last summer, Andrea Berta is very good at this. This is his tactic. He agrees deals, makes deals with multiple players. He gets terms agreed, agreements in place with multiple players. And then when that's all done, he decides which one he wants, or the club decides which one they want, and then they go after that one. Last summer, that was very effective and they got the players they wanted, okay? What I would suggest is he's trying to do the same thing this summer. Get terms agreed with multiple players, explore all the options, and then when they decide what they want, then go for one. I don't think his approach is quite so effective this summer because a lot of the clubs are moving absolutely mad. So, while Berta is exploring all of these options, they're definitely not going to get Bruno G. I would be astonished if they got Bruno G, right? Alex Scott is under consideration, but United and Spurs both really like Scott as well. They're also looking at Bouadi, but now so is City. And I'm sure somebody else was linked in there as well. They did approach Tonali, but he's off the list because he's definitely going to City or Spurs. So all of this, what worked for Berta last season about keeping your options open, going to all the players, getting all the agreements, being in control, and it was very well worked last summer. The same tactics this summer is actually going to cost them players because they're taking too long and everyone else is going too fast. Well, not United, we're not going fast, but other clubs are going fast. And I just thought it was an interesting point. Just because something worked the first time doesn't mean it's going to work again. So I just wanted to put that out there because I thought it was interesting. It was something that was talked about a lot last summer, very effective last summer. This summer, I don't think it's going to work. Every single player that's there is actively, except Alex Scott, is actively in talks with another club and advancing. Arsenal could regret using the same tactic. I don't think it's going to work for them. Shem wants Alex Scott. I like Alex Scott. I rate Alex Scott higher than I rate Matheus Fernandes, if I'm honest with you. I do. I do like Fernandes, but I don't rate him higher than Alex Scott, if I'm totally honest with you. Africa King is saying Alex Scott could go to Spurs. And see, that's it. Like, of that whole list there that Arsenal are interested in, do any of them actually go to Arsenal? Because maybe Bouadi, but I don't know. Maybe Bouadi. But I don't think any of the others. Not at the moment. That could change. But not at the moment, I don't see it. Hello to Luis. Welcome, welcome. I agree, Mavis. I agree. That is my thought. Flossie agrees as well. That is the vibes that's coming out at the minute. Rob, yes. Please like the video. Please do like the video, people. There's a lot of you in here. We're having a great old chat this afternoon. Please do like the video. I would appreciate it. If you're new, please subscribe. We've lost some teacups over the last few days. So please do subscribe if you're new. We'd like to get back to 800. Now, I want to just move on. I do want to just move on to Newcastle, because we've talked about all the players that might not leave Newcastle. But you'll remember, was it Craig Hope said they're working on some replacements? Maybe it wasn't Craig Hope. Maybe it was the other guy. What's the other guy's name? It's escaped me. It'll come back to me. But this is from Magpie 24/7. Okay, so we've talked about them a few times. They're a pretty big Newcastle account. I quite like their stuff. So Newcastle United are reportedly monitoring Inter Milan midfielder Alexander Stankovic, setting up a potentially bizarre transfer saga just weeks after the Serbian returned to the San Siro. Stankovic, the son of Inter and Serbian legend Dejan Stankovic, impressed last season at Club Brugge by netting 9 goals in 55 games. This form prompted Inter to trigger their €23 million buyback clause at the start of June, locking the 20-year-old into a 5-year contract. However, despite just re-signing him, the Serie A giants are already open to cashing in for a quick profit. According to the Chronicle, they have reportedly set an asking price of around €40 million, which is £34.5 million, looking to nearly double their money on the youngster. Should a move for Stankovic stall, Newcastle is supposedly keeping several other targets on their radar. Monaco's 22-year-old Senegalese midfielder Lamine Camara, who was at the World Cup, is a prominent option, though he carries a hefty valuation of roughly £50 million. Closer to home, Middlesbrough is demanding around £20 million plus 5 in add-ons for the England under-21 international Hayden Hackney. There's also other clubs in for him, while highly rated Dutch youngster Kees Schmidt also remains a potential target for our recruitment team. But yeah, that's where I'm going. You're monitoring him. You're monitoring him. Players are of interest. And I have seen the Kees Schmidt rumour, so just to touch on that, this was from Luke Edwards, that's how. Newcastle have liked Kees Schmidt for a while, but they have never been convinced he wanted to join them and have not pursued anything this summer. A number of clubs are interested, but Newcastle are not currently active in that conversation. Keep an eye on Liverpool for Kees Schmidt, but others are keen. So you're monitoring Stankovic. You have interest, or he's on the radar, Kees Schmidt, but you're doing nothing about it. And you're also considering Borussia Dortmund midfielder Felix Metsche. And this is from Keith Downey. Eddie Howe is a big fan of the German international and came close to signing him in the summer of 2023, but instead opted for Sandro Tonali. Metsche has an €85 million or £73.5 million buyout in his Dortmund contract that runs till 2030. Newcastle would be looking to pay less than that given their model, so unless Dortmund renegotiate the clause, it would be a difficult deal to do. The 25-year-old's first Dortmund goal was a winner against Newcastle in the Champions League in 2023. Can I just, on a side note, according to Fabrizio, United also have Metsche on our radar, but we're focused on different priorities right now. So you guys aren't even the only Premier League club looking at him, so they're definitely not going to lower that fee. Keith Downey followed up on his own tweet, saying the clause is the issue for Newcastle. Dortmund would need to be willing to lower their asking price below the £73.5 million buyout clause, and only then would Newcastle consider making a move. They won't and aren't at £73.5 million, right? So you like Kees Schmidt, but you're not actually in for him. You do like this chap here, Felix Metsche, but you're not actually in for him. And you're a fan of Stankovic, but you're also not actually in for him. And you do also like Lamine Camara, but his valuation is hefty. And I'm just wondering, I'm just wondering. Right, United are bad. We are bad, right? I shouldn't be laughing at anybody. We've got Ederson and nobody else, and I'm happy with. I like the Ederson deal, but we need obviously drastically more, right? We are also monitoring Interested FC, right? So this laugh is a laugh of solidarity, okay? What's the point of this list? Here's a list of players that you really like, but you're not going for. What is this rage bait? Is this rage bait? Are your club trying to rage bait you? What is this? I don't know. I'm sorry, right? I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you because my club's doing the same thing. My club's mentioned in a number of these, right? So I'm laughing with you, even if you're not laughing. But genuinely, like really and truly, what? What are you doing? I can't. I actually can't be coping. I cannot be coping. Right, I'm going to read some of your comments because I had to bring this in because I was reading the stories this morning and I was like, look, I was trying to look for it, because we were talking about Tonali and Bruno G. I was like, okay, are they going to buy anybody after the Munoz thing went off? I haven't seen them strongly linked to anybody since they've missed Munoz. And I was looking up to see if I could find some links for Newcastle. No, is the answer. This is what I found. And I was like, right, I have to bring this into the show. I can't be coping. I cannot be coping. Must be the teacups. Teacups aren't made for these temperatures. Let me see. I love, right? Africa King. As I was going through the stories, Africa King, right? Watch this timeline of Africa King. The Stankovic, he was like, oh, that's a decent replacement. That's good. And then he was saying similar profile. Or Lamine Kamara, who we also mentioned. Then we get to Keishmith's definitely not going to Newcastle. By the end of it, Africa King was like, what? Africa King had my reaction. He was like, okay, yeah, I see it. Yeah, okay, yeah, makes sense. And then by the end of it, he's like, what? Like, what are you talking about? That's it. And also, yes, why would they lower the clause? What would they do that for? Silly bellies. Silly bellies. Twisted says, Newcastle need a glow up to look more attractive. I agree. At the moment, and I'm not trying to be very rude, Newcastle feel a bit tired. They feel a bit tired. Eddie Howe, I don't think is attractive. Your trajectory isn't attractive. All of these rumors of players wanting out, whether they're true or untrue, the optics of it, it's not good. The Wissa, I mean, is that going to be exciting? Let me go play with Wissa. Do you know, it's not very exciting. Do you know, and I can take it on the chin. I don't think Carrick has pull. I think United does. I don't think Carrick does, though. I think that impacts United. So I'm not just picking on Newcastle. I can see it about my own club as well. I think we have other things that are attractive. But I think you need things to kind of counter the fact that you've kept Eddie Howe and you don't have any. Africa King says, all signs point to Tyler Adams or Thomas Souček. I like Tyler Adams. I would take him at United. Thomas Souček has, I believe, promised his future to West Ham. I believe, but I couldn't swear to it. But I like Tyler Adams. Yeah, I think Newcastle might be rage baited everybody. Among the big clubs, how many transfers have been confirmed? Ederson for us, Elliot Anderson for City, and Liverpool. Have Liverpool got anybody official that they've got Munoz, who was really good, looked really good. It depends if you're counting Spurs. Spurs have got 4 over the line. So it depends if you're counting Spurs. Arsenal haven't done anything official, I think. Chelsea have bought Palestra. They did him in 12 hours. So there has been a few. There's been, depending if you're counting Spurs or not, there's been 4 or 5. If you're counting Spurs, there's been close to 10, Harold. So there has been a few confirmed. Quite a few, actually. For how early it is in the window, there has been quite a few confirmed. So you've got Munoz, Palestra, Ederson. Has anybody gone to Liverpool? Munoz. I keep saying Munoz and then asking about Liverpool. Munoz, Ederson, Palestra, Anderson. So 4. And then if you count Spurs, 8. This stole that guy from Newcastle. Yeah, that's the Munoz guy. That's why I kept saying Munoz and then asking about Liverpool. My brain's not working today, guys. My brain is absolutely not working. I thought Newcastle were Spurs. That actually might say a lot about Newcastle's trajectory, that I kept mixing Newcastle up with Spurs. And also now I can't tell the difference between Liverpool and Liverpool. So I think that might be time to end the lunchtime show, guys. That might be enough for me. I think that might be me for today. Oh, no, that's okay. I thought I remembered one. I didn't. But yeah, I think that's me. I think that's the lunchtime show all wrapped up, guys. Thank you very, very much for being here. Ye are all the most wonderful of teacups on the whole of YouTube. You really are. Please do come back to Teacup Castle later on. We do have the live watch along. It's England-Panama today, I believe. I think they're around 10 o'clock. Are they around 10 o'clock? Let me check. Yes, so I will be live. From around 9:50. Hopefully I'm going to have my head screwed on by 10 o'clock this evening. Otherwise, I'll be telling you Panama scoring when it's England. So do enjoy your afternoon, whatever you're doing. And please do come back to Teacup Castle later on. As I said, please do smash a like if you haven't. And come back later. Please just subscribe. I need some help, apparently. Talk to you all later, folks.